Bonjour mes amis, je m'appelle Rory Bentley. That's as much French as I've got for you, and I think we can all agree it wasn't very good. And the reason I'm speaking French today, well, because I'm going to be reviewing the new Gojira album, Magma. And Gojira are, of course, a French band. For those of you who don't know a lot about Gojira, why? Thought you like metal? You stupid. But if you don't know, they are they're just Gojira, basically. It's really hard to describe. They've got progressive elements. They kind of sound a bit like Tool in places, a bit like Sugar in other places, a bit like Mastodon, and there's an element of Morbid Angel here and there as well. But really, to be honest, Gojira are Gojira. And it's been quite a long time since their last album, L'Enfant Sauvage, which was, voted Album of the Year in many rock and metal magazines, and something that was met with great critical reception and also great fan reception, and pretty much continued a streak of absolute cast iron classic albums that Gojira was on, right the way from Mars to Sirius, through to The Way of All Flesh, through to that album. So basically, a hat trick of fantastic, amazing, distinctive, graceful, challenging, accessible modern metal. Now, a lot of pressure on a follow-up to an album as great as L'Enfant Sauvage, and this is what they've delivered. Magma, like I say. So, does Magma live up to the legacy of this band, to the flawless recent output of Gojira? I can tell you right away, yes it does. Yes, absolutely, of course. Is it just more of the same? No. There's a lot of kind of different things going on here, which you wouldn't necessarily expect from Gojira up until this point. Now, there's been a lot of people saying they've kind of simplified it a little bit. They've stripped it back. They've kind of lent on the groove, the stomp. They've kind of almost gone a bit Black Album Metallica, or for a more later reference, I guess, latter day Mastodon. I guess so. In places, but I don't think that tells the full story. And I think this album is anything but simple. So Gojira, very much, if you're into them, you'll know that part of the appealing thing is these crushing, absolutely intense, like just face-smashing riffs. This like powerful intensity that they're able to actually give off that is just something that you can't necessarily teach or replicate or like kind of just notes down in music and just execute perfectly. It's something entirely distinctive to them, and it's the chemistry between the Duplantier brothers, Joel and Mario, who are kind of pretty much the cornerstones and main songwriters of the band. It's the chemistry between them that makes this so distinctive. They are pretty much like the Cavalera brothers, I guess, from Sepultura, or Cavalera Conspiracy, or whatever they're doing now. Definitely not reforming Sepultura, that's for sure. Boo! But yeah, I mean, they've got like a real kind of chemistry. If you want to go back a bit later, Alex and Eddie Van Halen. But obviously this is way heavier and fucking way cooler than Van Halen, in my opinion. But yeah, there's the chemistry's there, and the complexity is not there as much. So songs like The Way of All Flesh and things like that, they're not as prominent, but it's definitely there, and it's more of a deceptive complexity. They're not necessarily going hell for leather, full metal all the time on this album, but there certainly are moments of this. So I guess kicking off, the first song kind of pretty much sets its stall out as to what's going to be going on for the rest of the album, and it's called The Shooting Star, and it has that classic kind of like powerful, swinging, ambient Gojira riff that we've come to expect from them. Certainly not as kind of intense and aggressive on this song, but it's a real kind of dreamy soundscape and a really kind of ethereal atmosphere that it creates. So this is almost kind of post-rock in a way, except these are actually really catchy riffs that you can hum. So it doesn't descend into shapeless indulgence, which a lot of post-rock does. But yeah, it really kicks things off on a completely different note than any other kind of Gojira album opener, and it's not the punch in the face that you expect. Now that comes next in one of the singles and second song on the album, Silvera. Is that right? Yeah, Silvera. So that has all the hallmarks of a classic Gojira riff. It's got that down now, down now, like that kind of like chugging, kind of percussive, almost kind of Fear Factory style feel to it, with a bit of kind of a swing and groove on it. And it pretty much, is classic Gojira, except with absolutely planet-sized melodies. So there's a beautiful lead line on the guitar. There's an absolutely massive chorus. Joel's doing a lot more clean singing on there, and there's definitely screaming on there. It's definitely heavy, but a lot of the singing that you might have heard previously, particularly on L'Enfant Sauvage, where it's really kind of heavy, kind of guttural vocals, but at the same time singing melodically. They used a great effect on there, and some beautiful lyrics about, if you change yourself, you change the world. This is like a massive song. And, so many of the lyrics are environmentally conscious. This album's a lot more personal when it comes to lyrics, actually, because a lot of it is a tribute to their mum died, actually, before this album was recorded. So a lot of it, the whole album's pretty much a tribute to her. And it's not done in the classic kind of way that a lot of bands do, like a stripped-down ballad song. But this is nonetheless really kind of beautiful, powerful music, but heavy at the same time. And Silvera is a great way to kind of get into things there. And then we get into The Cell, the third song, which is just really kind of almost classic Gojira. And this one doesn't kind of necessarily hold back on the heaviness in the same way that Silvera has and the Shooting Star has. This one really kind of goes for the jugular, rips your throat out, beats you into a bloody pulp, and makes you want to come back for more. So brilliant classic Gojira song. And then we get to one of the singles, one of the first songs to be, I think it was the first song to be released before the album came out, actually, Stranded, which is very kind of stomping, straightforward, almost Black Album era Metallica in its kind of structural approach, but like a really interesting, quirky guitar effect. Again, really percussive riffs, but somehow turned into a really catchy widescreen song that, fans of, Five Finger Death Punch could get into. Even people as fucking thick as that could get into this. Yeah, you fucking wrestling morons. I like wrestling, by the way, but still. Sorry. But you are idiots. You Shinedown liking twats. Even a Shinedown fan could like this song. So it's that accessible. But at the same time, it doesn't lose any of that Gojira class, that sheen, that, I don't know, maybe it's because they're French, that je ne sais quoi, that hard to place thing that kind of puts it a cut above. Brutally heavy, while velvety smooth at the same time. And then, I guess, after a wonderful little instrumental, Yellowstone, we get into the title track, Magma, which again exploits some really strange guitar effects. They've got such a distinctive guitar tone, and, a lot of it is about tone. As great as they are at writing sledgehammer, punch-in-the-face riffs, they're equally adept at creating soundscapes, almost like Sun O, kind of like drone soundscapes, but they've worked really hard on this, and I think Joel actually built a studio just to record this in, actually. There's kind of clips of him actually soundproofing and creating an environment just for the recording of this album, and I think the production really shines through, and the different kind of effects and weird soundscapes that you're able to create. This one's in particular got a really quirky verse riff that just has to be heard. It's indescribable. It's like nothing I've heard on a guitar before. It's that crazy, almost kind of a Tom Morello kind of thing going on, but less obnoxious and self-righteous. And then one of my absolute favourites on there is next, Pray, which is possibly the heaviest song on here, but certainly maybe not even in terms of kind of the riffs, but the actual intensity, the darkness in it is just, there's a palpable atmosphere of kind of fear and dread on it. There's a lot of it's clean sung as well, but it's just so kind of sinister. It just creates this really oppressive atmosphere, and then there's like these kind of little bits where it just goes absolutely mental and just stabs you in the face with brutal heaviness, and those death metal vocals make their way back. Absolutely love Prey. And then Only Pain is an absolutely fantastic follow-up to that. It's very much in the same theme, probably a bit more melodic, and again some kind of lovely conscientious lyrics about the environment. You know, these are people that actually care. These people that donate money to like Sea Shepherds and stuff, set up their own charities. They actually want to change the world, but you know, don't hold that against them. But at the same time, and then it just concludes beautifully with the song Lowlands, which is the dedication to the Duplantiers' mother, and the gorgeous instrumental Liberation, which is almost like they found a guitar on like some lost desert island and plucked it out. But you know, Lowlands in particular, just talking about like, you know, tell me what you see in the afterlife and her kind of spirit hanging over. It's just very ambient, very beautiful, but at the same time very heavy. There's a lot of kind of intricate things going on, but they're very easy to digest. And I think that's where people have said, yeah, they've simplified it. But I don't necessarily see that it's simple. There's a lot of complicated shit going on here. And, you know, I challenge most musicians to actually play this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this album. It's over in, under 45 minutes? And it reminds me a lot of the Baroness album last year, Purple, which I also really, really, really loved. It maintains the identity of the band. It's still complex, it's still challenging, but these are very much songs kind of stripped back to the kind of the hooks and the actual just making it a little bit more kind of listenable and easy to get along with, while never compromising on the heaviness and the intricacy. So it's very similar in that respect. I actually think it's probably a better album than that. I think it's an absolutely astonishing album, and it is a real credit to a career streak that just keeps going and going and going. This is 4 absolutely phenomenal classic metal albums in a row now from this band. And I think this one, because of how easy it is to get into, again, without selling out, without compromising the things that make them an incredible band, I think this one really is going to absolutely explode. I saw them play 2 tracks live at Download a couple of weeks ago, and they absolutely crushed. They sounded massive, absolutely gargantuan, and I think this is really going to push them over the edge. So look out, this could be Gojira's year, and I really hope it is, because they are absolutely one of the best bands that we have in heavy metal. They are on another level, and you know, you're doing yourself a disservice not checking this album out and listening to it. If you like heavy metal, this will appeal to you, regardless of whether you're into the extreme, nastiest stuff in the world, or if you're, you know, an Iron Maiden or Saxon fan or whatever. I can't see how you would not enjoy this band, or particularly this album. So yeah, Gojira Magma, just a real contender for album of the year. It's going to be so difficult to pick my favourite album this year. You don't even care, but still, I take these things very, very seriously, because I've got very little else to do with my time. Anyway, so that's Gojira. I'm about to watch their home country, France, take on Germany. So we'll see how that happens, see what pans out there. But in the meantime, yeah, I'm going to be back talking about a lot more stuff. So you ain't seen the last of me. But in the meantime, au revoir. Yeah, nailed the French there. Absolutely killing the French. What is going on with the tennis? Oh, sorry, you're still here. Yeah, fuck off, bye.